First Samuel chapter 24. I want to read verses 9 and 10. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt? Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord had delivered thee unto my hand in the cave, and some bade me kill thee, but mine eye spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. So, what led David saying this to King Saul was King Saul has already tried to kill David. David's been running with a band of followers throughout the wildernesses of Israel, and it came upon him that David and his men were in a cave, and Saul happened to come to that same cave to take care of some business. And David was able to reach King Saul and cut a bit of his robe off. Now, David felt extremely bad for doing that. But some of the men that were with David was trying to encourage David to go ahead and kill Saul and be done with it, because Saul's been trying to kill him for a while now. And the only reason why David escaped was because Jonathan actually helped him escape. After Jonathan found out the truth himself of his father's intent to kill David, because Saul had lost his grace with the Lord, and the Lord told Saul that he was going to give over the kingdom to someone else, and Saul had learned that someone else was David. But David was given the perfect opportunity to be rid of his enemy once and for all. And his men told him he would be just in killing him, to be rid of him. But David, knowing that King Saul was God's anointed king over Israel, saw it just to spare Saul's life and not to harm him in any way. Because David had mercy for him. And plus, David also believed without a shadow of a doubt that God was going to indeed make him king of Israel at God's perfect timing. David refused to lay a harmful hand on Saul. And David announced himself to Saul after the incident to let Saul know that despite the Lord putting Saul right there in that situation, that David was going to refuse to kill Saul. You know, David had mercy, spared his life, because no matter what, at the end of the day, the Lord chose Saul to run or rule over the people of Israel. And so David was not going to shed Saul's blood in any way, shape, or form. He refused. He still recognized King Saul as the appointed ruler by God of the Israelite people, and he wasn't going to kill him just so that he can make God's promise to him come about faster. David was about pleasing the Lord. He wasn't about power and authority. He wanted to do what the Lord wanted to do. And and like I said, he had total faith in God's promise to him. No doubts. David was willing to be patient. And his patience and his mercies toward King Saul makes him a just man, makes him a man after God's own heart. Um, so, um, what does that relate to us today? Well, we're going to be put in situations that we can maybe do harm to somebody who's doing harm to us in some way. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be social, uh, you know, character wise, what have you. It's a defamation of some time, and we may be given an opportunity to return the favor just the same or worse. But is that going to make us a better person for it? Are we going to be just in doing that? No, because Jesus tells us to love our enemies. Um, and David even asked King Saul, who are you listening to that, who's telling you that I want to kill you? Because David never once ever even said that he wanted to kill Saul. All David wanted to do was serve the Lord's anointed king until it was his time for the kingdom to be handed over to him, um, in which uh, David was not going to create that situation himself. He absolutely refused. And so sometimes it is more just to do nothing and to show mercy to those who are persecuting you. Um, because could David have killed Saul? By all means, he had him. And the fact that he was able to cut a piece of Saul's robe off and Saul didn't notice that or didn't feel him tugging on his robe. Yeah, David had every opportunity to take Saul out, but he didn't. Um, and like that goes for us today. Just because we have a chance to take somebody out who's trying to do us harm or who's trying to take us out doesn't mean that we have to. Because if you remember, because um, at the end of the day, God sees everything. He knows everything. He knows what's in our heart. And God will judge those accordingly who try to deliberately harm us. In Saul's case, it ended with him watching his two sons die on the battlefield before grief overtook him and he took his own life on the battlefield, which thereby um, created the perfect timing for David to take over the kingship of Israel. So, uh, David gives us a great example of how to be merciful and just, and how we don't have to take actions into our own hands because an opportunity arises. Um, and that's sometimes a very hard act to follow. So with that, I love you guys. You have a blessed day, and we'll see you tomorrow.